Welcome to the Cast and Camo podcast, where we talk about hunting, fishing, and all things outdoors. Grab your fishing rod, put on your favorite camo, or just sit back and enjoy this week's topic. Cast and Camo begins now.
Yo, Eric.
Hey, good
What's up?
evening. How much?
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm better.
You're better.
I can If
Are you
I'm
sick?
yes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So if I'm mouth breathing tonight more than normal,
Uh-huh.
it's because I'm just starting to get the ability to breathe back through my nose. So hopefully I don't sound like a complete the sinus sounding voice nerd, but I think I'm getting back to normal, which is good because
Mhm.
I'm leaving the country.
Oh. Are you ever coming back? Are you going with Rosie O'Donnell?
Is she leaving too?
Oh, she already went.
Oh.
She's in Ireland. She moved to Ireland.
Oh, well, they don't have ice in Ireland, I don't think. But I'm headed to tomorrow. I'm leaving for Manitoba. I'm gonna go to Lake Winnipeg, and I'm gonna go. I don't know how many miles out on Lake Winnipeg, and try for some massive walleye or greenbacks. I'm
So
excited.
you're going to become a Canadian, eh?
I am. Butch, thank you for that raid. Welcome in everyone from Dear Butch's stream.
Yes.
See if we
Gosh,
can
yes.
give him a shout out.
Look at that.
It's like he streams on
So are
Sundays.
you ever going to come back from Canada?
If they let me back in,
Are you able to get in? Did you get that little star on your driver's license yet?
Yeah, I have. I should.
Okay.
I'm able to get in. However, who knows right now, right? I mean, they kind of hate us.
Yes. Don't tell them you're from America.
Right. I'm going to do my best to not tell them that I'm from the U.S. and see if that'll help. But it wouldn't surprise me if they turn us away. Especially if we have any Tennessee whiskey with us.
You're not going to take Tennessee whiskey with you, are you?
I'm not taking anything. Number one, look, it's like eating before a flight for me, or any flight that I have. I get to the airport like 2.5 hours, or to my gate 2.5 hours before my flight leaves, because I'm that deathly afraid of missing a flight. It's the same thing with going into Canada. It's kind of like I'm probably going to get hate mail on the term, but it's like on Seinfeld, the soup Nazi. You show up, you answer yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and you just move on down the line until they let you in. You shut up. You don't bring anything funny.
Yeah, put a gun on your side. You'll get right in.
No, nope.
Yeah,
I don't think they take kindly to that.
really?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But we'll see.
For?
We're leaving tomorrow at some point. I have to talk to him tonight after the show. And we're staying in Winnipeg tomorrow night at a casino, and then we have the fish house from Tuesday at 7 a.m. to Thursday at 7 a.m. And they don't drive out. They don't plow roads. So they take you out in a truck. And I'm going to talk to the guy. Hopefully I can get him on the show. It's kind of a badass experience the way he's got it set up. He's got, the four doors side by side on tracks. He's got his big Chevy Silverado 250 on tracks, and they pull out the 8x24 Yeti, and it should be fun. It comes with the 1 day. You have the fish house for 2 days, but it comes with 1 day of what they call run and gun. And based on the look of the weather on Tuesday is going to be phenomenal. So with the run and gun, you grab your stuff and they hop around and you just fish find. You go and hole hop, and hopefully you get on a big pack of 30-inch walleye. And if so, then they move the house to wherever that spot is. And if not, you go back and you stay out on the ice, and it should be a good time. It's going to be me and my cousin,
Right.
and I'm looking forward to the time.
Someone in chat wants you to play at that casino. I see they said it's really good.
I should try the casino. Okay, I'll try the casino. You lost your ass at that casino. Isn't that pretty much every casino? You could say that about almost any casino in every casino, couldn't you? Lost my ass. But yeah, anyway, it should be a fun time. So we'll see if we're not on live next week. It's because I'm stuck in Canada and I'm not bringing my stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to stream yet or not. I have to look into. I'm a little nervous about the data. I don't even know if there's service or not. If there is service, even if I have service, I'm afraid what it would cost me to stream, but we'll see. I'll bring the GoPro no matter what to try to get some video of these big fish. Since that's mostly the reason I stream my fishing anyway, is just to capture my fun fishing moments on camera. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Either way, it'll be a good time. Do you guys have? Is your water down yet? Can you fish yet? It's got to be close. No,
it's going up. It's going to be 30. Yeah. Well, we just had all them tornadoes and all that rain.
That's true.
So we're supposed to go up. I think we were 24 foot this morning. We're supposed to go up to 30 foot and top out.
So do you guys watch like up in Ohio and PA and to see what their snow accumulation is over the winter? Does that impact?
Yeah, it would if you have a major warm up where it really warms up big but right now they have no snow up there. So
maybe that'll help.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying it'll be a week before it gets back down to about 24 foot. So I'm still a couple weeks out before I can go fish.
Oh.
So we're normally 12'5" is normal pool.
Okay.
So we got a ways to go.
It's the spring. The weather has been bonkers. We had, I think it was 72 degrees here in Minneapolis on Friday, and then yesterday was basically a blizzard warning, which is crazy. We didn't get much snow, just dusting, but the wind was strong winds and it was blowing when it was snowing, that's for sure. Anywhoosies, for those of you listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify Podcast, you're probably wondering what we mentioned. Deer Butch rated us at the beginning. What is that? Well, we are live on Twitch every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central, and you can catch us live if you think it would be fun to give us hell in our chat live. Find us on Twitch at Cast and Camo. If you're watching and listening on Twitch and you want to check out our previous episodes because you haven't seen them and you think we're hilarious, because we are, you can find those episodes both on YouTube under Cast and Camo TV. Subscribe, like, and comment. And you can find them on our website, Cast and Camo, www.castandcamotv.com. Otherwise, you can hear all of the episodes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts under Cast and Camo Podcast, I think is what it's called. But if you just search for Cast and Camo, you're gonna come across, so you'll find it.
Yeah, and Dear Butch just subbed us.
And Dear Butch, 6 months.
Thank you, Butch.
Minnesota
appreciate it.
Cruel this time of year, sure is. So if you're listening on Apple or Spotify later, and you're wondering who the heck we're talking to, we are talking to our chat live on Twitch. Deb says she has a frog named Todd. That's ironic. I bet if you'd kiss it, it wouldn't be nearly as handsome as I am. Just going to say that.
I was just gonna say, I doubt it's gonna turn into a prince if its name's Todd.
Says you. All right, well, let's get caught up on our partners, our sponsors, shall we?
Yeah, house cleaning.
House cleaning. We've got Texas Select Seasonings. I have been using the hell out of my Texas Select Seasonings lately. Hamburgers, steaks. I'm gonna, once we're done, I've had these 2 backstrap steaks marinating for a couple days now. I made 4 of them. I was marinating 4 of them. I had 2 of them on, what's today, Sunday. I had 2 of them on Friday night. They just melted in my mouth, and I'm gonna put that rustic rub all over. Oh my god, I can't wait to eat tonight after the show. It's gonna be so exciting. It's gonna be so good. But Texas Select Seasonings, !BBQ in chat, or find the link down below if you're watching on YouTube or our website. Cast and Camo in all caps will get you 15% off your order. Get your order in. It's literally, it's my favorite. And I've been talking to a bunch of people lately. I'm like, I don't know that I would ever use any other seasonings, to be honest. I'm hooked on his seasonings. I'm hooked on it. It's so good.
The best.
What's up, Laserbeam? No wonder why you haven't seen it before. Well, snoozy lose. But welcome in. We appreciate all the first-time chatters. We've got a bunch of them. Thank you, Dear Butch, for exposing the show to more people. Appreciated. But yeah, !BBQ will get you that link to Texas Select Seasonings. And again, Cast and Camo in all caps for 15% off. Sea Arc Boats. We were meeting with them in June. I'm hoping you're going to be able to make it, Eric, on June, I think it's 23rd. We'll be at the meeting with them and at the factory and taking videos and shooting videos, doing all sorts of things. Sea Arc will bring you to the Sea Arc website, and you can check out all their boats, all their new boats. Great boats, and they're a great partner, and we're looking forward to working with them more in the upcoming months. Deer 30, again, I didn't check their website today, but I know it was back up as of last time. I don't know if they've added any of their other stuff on it yet, if they're growing it. But it is finally back up and running. So Deer 30 in chat, or the links are down below or on the website. Cast and Camo 24 to get 24% off your order. We have to hit them up for our 25% off. We got to change that code.
Yeah, my daughter ran into them.
Really?
At Walmart the other day, and they're like, "Oh, we're your husband's best friend. Oh, we really like him. You know, we was on the show with him." And I'm like, Katie, why didn't you tell them where the hell are they at?
Yeah, kick him in the shins, or
kick him in the shins. That's right.
Was she wearing heels? If she was wearing heels, those pointy ones, the stiletto heels, she should have kicked him right between the legs. Said they still don't have a hoodie or a hat or a shirt or anything. I need bags. I need bags. Man, there's no snow.
I know.
I gotta start planting stuff soon, man. Let's go, Damon, Jeremy. Come on now. We gotta start planting. Anyway, Cast and Camo 24 for 24% off. Vexen Fishing, !Vexen. And we also have all these commands kind of scrolling down at the bottom of the screen. Cast and Camo, all lowercase, you get 15% off your order. And again, !Vexen in our chat, or the link down below on YouTube will bring you to the website. I'm anxiously waiting for their new merch. Gamer had ordered his rod, his new catfishing rod, and he got it. And he was complaining that the free gift was all sold out. So I sent him some shirts, and I had put my address in as a shipping address instead of his. So I have to resend those out. I'll make a stop tomorrow to get those sent out on my way to Canada. You need a new rod, Deb? !Vexen, you get 15% off your order. They've got great rods. Even Wolfram says so. Wolfram has built custom rods using Vexen blanks. They're good rods. But yeah, and then Behave, !Bees, get 10% off your order. Cast and Camo in all caps to get 10% off your order for all natural, all bee flavored wax, lip balm, leg balm, dog paws balm, all the stuff. And it's all natural and it's healthy for you. And if you want to stay in contact with us, Discord will bring you to the link to our Discord, the official Cast and Camo Discord. Feel free to join that Discord and check things out. And then last but not least, again, I also need new bump. There you go. Exclamation point bees, Deb. Go on, get yourself some and get discounts. CastandCamoTV.com is the website. You can get to our merch, which we have all new merch. And that's going to be bringing me to my next point. Do you like the new logo? We kind of spruced it up a little bit. Do you like the new look? We got a new look. We got new fonts. We got new logo. You like it?
I do like the design around our pictures now a lot better than that other one.
Yeah, I just do. And check this out. I haven't updated. I've updated all the existing merch, and I've added a few new pieces of merch. But here I'm gonna throw this up there. We're also gonna cater, like everybody else always does. We're gonna cater to the pink camo fans, not just ladies. I like pink camo. Pink, actually, you can wear pink camo and pink in Minnesota instead of blaze orange if you want. It's legal. So we'll have kind of two different versions of that logo: the one with the orange and the black, and then pink and black and white. For all the pink lovers out there, and not the singer Pink, although she has a great voice. Not knocking the voice; she's got a great voice. Have we missed anything?
Yeah. Hi, Grumpy. Hi, Butch. Hi, Soggy. Hi, Demons. Hi, Deb. Hi, Ray.
Hey, everybody. And thanks for coming along the ride on this Sunday night. It's everybody's favorite night. All right. Well, let's get to our guest. It is our first time that we've had the person on 3 times, and it's not because we didn't have things to talk about. I just missed Jamie. I missed him. And I think it would be good to catch up. And there's hunting. I know we're getting into fishing. Oh, and that reminds me, I know we've got Hank Shaw coming up, I think at the end of the month. We've got Ted Race coming up next week.
Next week.
Yeah. So Ted Race, because it's walleye time, Lake Erie. So we're going to have Ted back on. We're going to talk walleyes, and then we're going to talk all things wild game hunting and cooking with an award-winning chef and author, which we gave away 2 signed copies of his recipe books. I think Cheryl and Almost Sane won those 2. I've got them signed. Went and hung out with Hank last week or the week before last, and got him to sign the books. And so he's going to come on, I think, at the end of April, or I'm sorry, end of March, early April. And then we finally have nailed down, hopefully they don't back out, a catfish noodling outfitter. Finally. We're finally going to get to talk noodling. And unfortunately, they can't join. They can't join. I'm not, no. Nobody can hear what Jamie's saying.
I know. Just make Jamie. Just wait until you go live, and then you can say it because he's got me muted right now.
Let's bring Jamie in, then he can stay in.
Oh, sorry.
All right, there's Jamie. So Jamie's threatening that I'm going to drown.
You're going to drown.
I will absolutely not go noodling. I will cheer everybody else on that wants to go noodling. I personally am not going to noodle. Look, I'm a pansy. I'm not as bad as Don Sweet. Like, I will touch the fish and I will hold a catfish by the mouth. But
with a glove.
No.
Catfish with a glove, you said.
Well, I mean, that's a smart way to go. I don't like the sandpaper burn on my fingers when I'm holding the fish, but I will do it. Now, I will always, I will have Soggy grab the bullhead and put the bullhead on as my bait. It's like snakes for me. Bullheads are like snakes. I'm not touching them. So Soggy will always be my daddy. And
what's the matter with the bullhead?
They hurt, man. We've talked about this. Soggy, this crazy bastard. He's got that whole. I know, but he's got this whole big container full of bullheads, and it's dark. And then he just says this. It's like reaching into a Halloween candy bowl. He just reaches his hand down into this thing with 15 bullheads in there. My luck, I'm coming out with 17 stings and I'm crying. And if I got Soggy, I got Papa Soggy. Papa Soggy's putting my bullheads on as bait all the time. I will pay him. I will pay him. Some things are just worth paying for, right? Right, Jamie?
Well,
Am I wrong?
Wait a minute, Jamie. Are you going to tell him, or do I have to?
Hey, Lake Winnipeg.
Lake Winnipeg. That's right. Here I come.
So I've been up on the mouth of that. So right below that is Selkirk.
Okay.
And then you got the Selkirk locks. And it's got some of the best channel catfishing in North America right there.
Really?
Is that the 30-pounders? Is that the Red River that comes up there or no?
It must
So
be.
we fished up there. I've been up there 2 trips, 5 days total. We boated, give or take, about 100 fish, and we averaged 22 pounds. The smallest fish we caught was 7, and we caught only 2 fish that were under 16 pounds. The biggest one was 25, 20. I don't think it was 28. I think it was 25 was the biggest one.
Wow. That's a big channel cat, man. And you were catching them, Eric. You had them.
Oh, but I wasn't up far enough. Walleye was, and I knew about the fish, the 30-pound catfish up in Canada, but we didn't have it set to go up there and fish at that time when we were there. We went up to the Canadian border, but we didn't go into Canada. And like Walleye explained to me the other day, if I would have went on up the Red River further, I would have been into the 30-pounders.
Yeah. Yep. And we have an eel pout hater in chat. Them's fighting words, man. Them's fighting words. That's a good fish to eat. They are hideous.
What's a big deal in Minnesota, right? They got those eel pout tournaments.
Well, fishing solo. Speaking of fishing solo coming in with a fatty raid of 66 people. Welcome in.
Hey, thank you for the raid.
Yeah, thank you, Solo. Appreciate that. They stopped doing the Eel Pout Fest because, well, people were garbage, and nobody wanted to clean up after the idiot people anymore. So the city didn't want to do it. The tournament organizers didn't want to do it. So it just kind of died off.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That was around for a long time.
It was around for a long time, and it was a moneymaker for the state because they gave out a lot of DUIs on the ice on that weekend. There was a lot of DUIs given out. That is
for sure. How many people you think were out on the ice?
A couple thousand, I would say. I would say it was a couple thousand. The big tournament. I don't even know if they had. I'm assuming they had the big tournament on Gull Lake in Brainerd this year. But I think that is known as the largest ice fishing tournament in the world. And I think they drill like 10 or 12,000 holes, 10 or 12 or 15,000 holes. And they've got 10, 15, 20,000 people.
I wonder I wonder if there has to be at some point too many people in pickups on the ice.
Well, probably not. Yeah. Yes. I mean, that is a thing. But this year, we had almost 3 feet of ice this year, so we finally had a year with good ice. I did watch a video on Facebook the other day. I don't know where it was. Do they even get ice in Thailand or any?
Oh, I have no. Do I look like I live in Thailand?
I don't know. I thought maybe you would know. But it looked like it was like in Thailand, and
Japan does.
Okay, maybe it was Japan, but it was an ice fishing, and it was this tiny little pond. It reminds Solo's here. It reminded me of one of those little ponds that Solo goes fishing for bass on. And all of the sudden, there was like 400 people that just rushed out onto this little tiny pond. And you can see like the ice, it was black because it wasn't very thick. And they're all out there drilling and sawing through. And all of a sudden, the entire thing just went and collapsed in. It was like, oh man, you gotta be smarter than that.
We should be playing that video right now. We should be.
I know. Here's what to not do for ice fishing.
When I was a kid, it wasn't unusual to have somebody go, put their pickup through the ice. That was
happened.
Right? There was always 2-3 times a winter. It'd be somebody between Devils Lake, like Maple Lake. There was a few lakes over that people ice fished on, and there was always. It wasn't like there was never a winter where that didn't happen. For sure, we were going. We had people freezing to death, and then we had people driving through the ice.
I was with Soggy and Walleye, and I know, Jamie, you don't know these names, but they're all watching in chat, and Buzzard, and we were fishing on the St. Croix River on the Minnesota Wisconsin border, and
I was there.
I don't know, 400 yards away, a truck went through while we were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they were dumb. People can be dumb. If you go too close to the power plant where the ice isn't as thick, you're gonna go through. You gotta be smart. You gotta know the ice. You gotta know your location, and drive smart. But I thought of you, Eric, when I was watching this video, because I literally, in my head, all I could think about was you standing there as like a DNR officer over your history and watching all these people, and I can just see you shaking your head going like this. Oh boy. And then as they go through, you go, oh, here we go. Now we got to go rescue all these idiots. And I could picture your face there.
It's just as bad as the people backing their boats down the ramps and they get out leaving it in neutral or not in park or leaving it in reverse and jumping out to go back to get the boat off the trailer. And there goes the truck and the boat and the trailer all underwater. So, and then all you see is like the tip of the boat sticking up and everything's underwater. I don't know how many times I've seen that at boat ramps.
Hi, Tinder. Thanks for being a big fan. Appreciate you. Welcome. Hi, welcome in. But we got Jamie here. He is, we've talked a bunch of different things with Jamie. And, we've talked a lot lately about small game. It's not my sock account. I don't have a sock account, Joker. Nope. I may have sent him a check. A fake account, like it's me under a different name coming in telling myself that I'm a big fan of me. But we've talked a lot about like small game hunting and kind of how that's been dying off. And iBuy is a bigger fan. Awesome. And predator hunting kind of goes hand in hand. And since we have been having those conversations, we hadn't talked to Jamie for a while. And even though we're in March, it's only less than 6 months away from some big game hunting out in Wyoming. And it's a great time if anybody is looking at antelope hunt or a mule deer hunt to reach out to Jamie and schedule that hunt now. That way he can get things booked. And that way he knows exactly when he wants me to come out there and help guide this time. Right, Jamie?
Yeah, well, you should come out in August.
Well, wait a minute. As much as he fell in the ice hole this year, I don't know about you guiding.
Well, yeah.
You guys should come out and do some, and then stream it. But you should come out and sit in a blind and do some archery antelope hunting on a tank.
Yeah. I would
sit you on a tank. That. Clear up on top of a tank.
No, we'd put him in a blind. Be in a blind.
No, put him on the tank.
Okay, so they used to do that. So the ranch, the one ranch in particular I'm thinking of, they would put their guys up in the windmills. They're like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Somebody's going to fall out. But that's what they used to do. They'd sit up in those windmills and bake, just get barbecued in the sun.
I would just sit on top of the oil rig as it's going up and down. Make it more of a challenge.
They do that here. They sit on the oil rigs here.
Shut up. Do they really?
I swear to God. And they're working and pumping, and they're sitting right. They'll put a blind around it. They'll get that netting. They'll wrap the whole way around the whale, and they put a chair up there, and they sit right there, and that thing's pump. You can't hear nothing.
I suppose.
Okay. So everything's got to be by sight. You're not going to hear a deer coming out across the field, whether it's icy or real crunchy. You ain't going to hear nothing.
So on those, on all those pump locations, they're required. I believe it's a federal requirement that they do weed mitigation around those site locations. So you got all these interstate trucks coming in and out of there, dropping off water, picking up water, dropping off, grabbing oil because they have to fill those tanks up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
If you get the certification through the the county extension office. It's probably an open book test, but you've got to get certified for the herbicides that they're going to use.
Oh,
But
sure.
anyway, so I know out here that those locations, because they spray for noxious weeds, that some of the best grazing typically is around the pump locations. Anyways, I could see it would make sense to have an archery blind.
Here, all around all of our oil wells, the brine is there, and the deer come in for that salt, and they just tear all these wells around here up because it's all salt water.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? When you watch the news, we have the same thing with the sage grouse out here.
Right.
Sage grouse, they want to say that the oil rigs are causing problems with the sage grouse. Well, it's not. That's not what's causing the problems with the sage grouse. It's all the crop dusters spraying for grasshoppers.
Yeah, exactly.
But they never talk about it.
Yeah.
When I worked for Wildlife Services, we'd go down to the airport and wait for I'd wait for my plane to show up. And egg cats, those big, egg cats, they would fly up, contractors would come up from Texas, and they'd sit here and spray for weeks. Every all morning they'd spray for grasshoppers. Well, that's what the damn things eat.
Yeah.
They eat grasshoppers, And then we were talking about small game. Well, the trapping, one of the best things you could do for your deer property is put out some traps. You want to get your skunks, your possum, you want to get your raccoons. Not a bad idea to kill a snake or two, but those are the
kill
things
them
that kill all your ground nesting birds. But nobody has fun necessarily catching skunks. So what you do is you put traps out for your coyotes, snares out for your coyotes, and then you catch all those egg robbers. And then you got upland game to watch while you're sitting in your blind and stuff like that. And, you're going to catch some coyotes. But, I mean, it's almost unconscionable that if you're a landowner, especially if you have a deer lease or a piece of property that you hunt on ducks, deer, upland game, that you're not a trapper.
Right.
That's true.
The craziest thing. Everybody wants to grow food plots. Well, yeah, but it'd be fantastic if you managed the animals that were on your property that were either in competition of or running your animals off. And anyways, yeah.
Yeah, the biggest reason we lost our trapping, you know exactly what that was, the fur industry. When them prices dropped from $100 for a red fox down to $8 and $9 for a red fox, that was the end of that. No one wants to spend the money because now it costs you how much for a number 2 jump trap? They're like through the roof.
$10,
yeah, compared to what they were when I was a kid.
Yeah, but so like I run a lot of gear, right? So I'm probably running in the neighborhood between 400 and 500 sets in the wintertime. That's a lot of equipment compared to what most people do. So on if you got 40 acres or 120 acres, there's no reason that you couldn't completely saturate that with 30 sets. If you're running snares, you might want to have 30 sets in this drainage. You might have 15 sets in another drainage. But even traps, I run on deeded ground in around 144,000 acres.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I do is with snares, and because I run so much ground, you really can't carpet bomb anything. You really have to be out there with a scalpel. There's some very good spots that I set them correctly, but I don't. When you run that much ground, you don't have time to set everything. You can't set on location. It's impossible for me to drive to a property and set on location. I've got to be setting on food, sign, travel ways, and den pockets. And it has to meet pretty much all 4 of those before it's worth my effort putting a set there, because you'll get too caught up in you get too caught up into your location and making everything. How would I say that? It's just time management.
Right.
It's just time management. So if you have 40 acres or 120 acres or 2,000 acres, you don't need that terribly much equipment. You just need to know how your animals are using that property. And if you take the time to walk around and learn that, it's only going to be better for your duck hunting. It's only going to be better for your deer hunting. It's only going to be better for everything. You know, you really should know where, you know, how the animals are using your property and know where you can help things out a little bit. Like maybe killing that skunk that's a mile from where your birds are nesting. That's probably a waste of your time. But if you know where the birds are nesting at, you probably want to make sure that every skunk in that area is, you know,
Well,
that you're addressing that issue.
Here,
Makes
one of our
sense.
biggest problems are the raccoons with the turkeys. We have an overpopulation of raccoons and no one's trapping them. I mean, I've had 30 raccoons on my deer cameras many times. You know,
That's
in
a lot.
one picture, have 30 raccoons there. You know, so
And there's
it's
another
bad.
60 that aren't on camera.
Oh, guaranteed.
exactly.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
100%. You can sit in our fields in the evenings and see raccoons walking back and forth across the fields all evening long before
It's
dark.
crazy.
Well, those coon cuffs. So, like, if I'm trying to kill all the raccoon, wow, raccoon are kind of a. This is a bad example. With the
We're all
raccoon,
about bad
I would,
examples. We don't want good examples.
well, raccoon. Like, if you have a raccoon in a set, if he's fussing a bit, it might run a raccoon or two off. Like, if you have a coyote in a set, it's going to run all the coyotes off. You're going to have
Yeah.
that, you know, there might be some like way off in the distance. Somebody's walking around trying to figure out what all the racket's about, but they're not really checking things. You know, they're not coming in there.
Right.
But raccoons, they have a little bit more tolerance for that stuff. If there's a big bag of dog food nearby, you know, they're pretty gluttonous. Bears are similar. That's why you can see, you know, that's why you go to the dump if you want to find bears. You know, I mean, if you really just wanted to shoot bears, you'd hang out by the dumpsters and stuff like that.
It's true.
So,
Yeah, right.
Go
just
ahead.
to answer a question in chat
Yep.
there, here the Game Commission wants rid of a lot of raccoons. They want you, but first of all, make sure they're in season and you have a hunting license. They're not open for you to just go out and shoot raccoons. That's not how it works. You got to make sure you have a hunting license. But they are asking all of us farmers here to please eradicate them as much as we can because the turkey population is dropping like crazy here.
Isn't it weird how you can't get any legislative support
No,
when it
you
comes
can't.
to some of these more obvious problems in the game and fish? Typically, well, you know this, Eric. Out here, anyways, they have some ability to write a little here you go piece of paper that says you can go do some extra stuff because you've got an issue over there. But they're not like the game warden I've got here in town. I really like the guy. He's 2 blocks from my house. I can tell you a ton of great stories of where he's been very helpful to me over the years. But to try to get them to write, like our trap checks out here are ridiculous, especially for the type of work I do. A 3-day trap check is kind of pointless for coyotes
Right.
in remote areas on lambing grounds. You know, I mean, my job is so specific that but like to the normal guy who's trapping state land, well, like coon, for instance, if you're trapping coon, you probably need to be there every 24 hours or else.
Well, it's
you're just wasting
mandatory to check your trap every 24 hours here.
Well, and I was gonna actually go further. I mean, it would be it's almost like trapping muskrats, where you would be money ahead if you trapped them or checked them every 12 hours.
Right.
Because if you set a trap on coon at night, let's say 6 o'clock, and you came back 6 o'clock the next morning, you could probably pull that coon and probably still have another one sometime that morning. Now, coyotes in remote areas where you're doing predator control, where there's a very small amount of coyotes, it's detrimental to be dragging your butt in there every 24, 48, 72 hours because it's the disruption. And that coyote that is a problem coyote, that's why you're running traps in June, because he's a special coyote. You really need to have a lot of things in your favor and having a nice, calm quiet environment for him to be in. And if you're trapping next to a road, then you really don't have a problem, coyote. If you're trapping where somebody could see this, it's really you have to go to where he's living, and you have to be very small about your approach to that.
Right.
Well, I think that most states should have a recognition of that for agriculture that allows them to quickly allow somebody to. It's like out here with our cats. I turned in some cats the other day. We have the best cats in the country come out of here. And so when you turn your cats in, they ask you how many sets did you have and for how long that was capable of catching this cat. Well, the area that we were talking about, I had up in an area that you could possibly catch a cat in. And I caught a cat in that set. When you're running your traps down a 2-track, let's say it's 500 yards off of your river. Let's say it's 200 yards off of your tree line. If you put a trap there, can it catch a cat? Yes. But if I was trying to catch a cat, I'm not up on the 2-track out in the middle wide open. I'm down on the edge of the timber or in the timber or up in the rocks. So when they're asking me that question on how many sets I had available to catch a cat, and I catch one cat in that area out of 116 sets, they walk away thinking there's a low cat population there.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of it is, the cat I caught was out of all those sets, I had one trap on the edge of the trees in the cottonwoods, and I had a bunch of trail snares there for coyotes. And there's one spot, there was a set of cat tracks going by there. It's legal for me to catch them. They're in season. I sold 2 of my biggest cats this year. I sold for $900 a piece. So you will take the time to catch a cat. And so I set that up, and whatever it was, 2 weeks later or something like that, I caught that cat. But that was the only one that had a flag. That was the only one in an area that had a cat. So when they're looking at my numbers, though, it makes it look like and the cats that I do catch in my line, I caught 8 this year. 1 female, the rest were all adult toms. 4 of them were 40 inches or bigger. Those ones are worth some money. And all those toms that I caught were on 2 tracks.
Right.
Because when you're coyote trapping your cats, you predominantly, at a high level, 80-90% are going to be those adult toms. But if you're back on the edge of the timber or into the timber, well, then you're going to catch your females.
Sure.
If you're, and if you're catching off of toilets and stuff like that. And so when you got all these guys who are coyote trappers out here, and they're asking, they caught, a handful of cats, and they're asking them, well, then they get all panicky that we've got a problem with our cats. And it's like, well, you're just misunderstanding. You're just misunderstanding the information because you don't understand how technical trapping is. That's understandable.
Right.
But they kind of just think you just throw a trap out there, but if you do it, if you understand what you're doing, well, you're setting things up. If I'm trying to catch raccoon, okay, so if the same trap line, how many raccoon did I catch on that trap line of 116 sets? I caught 2.
Right.
Does that mean there's no raccoon there?
Yeah.
I caught like 50 some coyotes.
Right.
So they ask questions, but they can't get in. It's like their ignorance of it makes them believe that it's a simpler thing than it actually is. And then when they have the ability to get some really good information, they kind of screw it up for themselves because they don't take the time to ask the right questions of the experts. There's plenty of them out there, at least self-described, but even a poor trapper has a lot of information that's pretty usable to a straight up biologist.
Eric, I have asked you a question, and then I want to get to Deb had a question in chat, and I would like Jamie to kind of talk through it a little bit. But Eric, have you considered or thought about running any traps for coyotes or even the raccoon?
Yes, I have, but I think Me and one of the conservation officers are going to go down and night hunt with a couple of his coon dogs that he has. We're going to go down and try to get as many as they want them gone. We are right against the game lands, so the game lands is dealing with the exact same problem. So they trapped 20, I think it was 22 turkey last year and abandoned them. And they went in and trapped again this year, and they got, what the heck did he say? I think they got 15 of those banded turkeys, but they got no young with them 15 turkey. They were a little bit shocked, and they think these raccoons, as many as we have a ton of them. I mean, they're everywhere. They think that these raccoons are just wiping the turkey nests out completely.
That sucks.
So you want to hear what they used to do back in the day? You want to hear some
napalm?
That stuff?
Yeah.
So they would take an old tire, and then you fill that tire with grape soda and marshmallows. And then you run those up. No, I'm serious.
I know.
Like, so anyway, I'm a coyote trapper. I'm not telling you anything I've done, because I'm a coyote trapper. And I'm allowed to use predicides. I use sodium cyanide, which are M44s or anyways. So then they would pre-bait with the marshmallows and the grape soda inside those tires. It keeps everything else out of it if you use a tire.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you want to like drop the hammer, they take, that gold powder that you like, it's like the consistency of baking soda that you sprinkle on the floor to kill flies.
Mm-hmm.
They mix a bunch of that in there, and those things go about 10, 15 yards. Just pipes them.
I don't know what they're going to do about because there's no way they'll keep up. You're not going to get all the farmers. Most of our farmers here that farm are farmers. You know what I mean? They go out and they hunt the 2 weeks of deer season or the first 2 days of deer season, and that's it, and they're back to farming. They really don't. I think we're going to have a major problem because they don't really care whether the turkeys are there eating their corn or their soybean seeds when they plant them in the field, but then they'll complain about it, that they've got 4 or 5 rows missing for 50 yards where the turkeys dug the corn up or the soybean seed before it started growing. So, it's hard. And I understand I could go down there and trap, but the next farm over, it's all swamps. They're not going to trap. So all they're going to do is move right back over there where I'm at. Yeah. I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's fighting a losing battle. When
when you live along a higher river and you have all these sloughs and swamp, these are perfect for raccoons. I mean, this is like a raccoon growth haven here.
Mm-hmm.
So
they used to have a thing called being a good neighbor.
Yeah.
And if you didn't kill all your predators on your property, so you could go down to the county extension office and they would either pay you bounty for the predators that you killed, which out here, at least with the fox and coyotes, that still exists, but they used to pay you for owls and hawks and everything. Right. So you would either get paid for the stuff that you brought in, ears and legs and wings, or you could pick up your favorite poisons. So the county extension office, you could go down and you pick up a steel tin that would have 5, 10, 25-pound tins full of poison. Right. And then they would the federal government would sponsor the USDA to come through, and they'd give seminars and training seminars on how to properly and effectively use poisons and how to reduce the predators on your property. So I don't know where that all went away. The problem still all exists. We're having an issue right now with black vultures up here, and it's an invasive species. They're not from Wyoming, and they are a little bit bigger than your turkey vultures, but they're predatory. So they're killing lambs. They're killing up. Well, last week I had it up on my Snapchat. There was 2 ewes. I called the ranch up and I'm like, geez, these don't look like coyote kills. I kicked a bunch of black vultures out of here. We just started seeing the black vultures a couple years ago. They had fires down south, pushed a bunch up here, and they like it. And they're killing calves, and that's what I'm like. They don't, coyotes are very. I mean, it's usually pretty obvious that who killed it, whether it's a lion, a bobcat, bird, a bear. They're all pretty distinct. They have their own way of doing things. And I'm like, I just talked to him about this a couple days ago, but something like 7 or 10 days in a row, they had a fresh kill out in that particular pasture. And these are really remote areas. I mean, that ranch is almost 100,000 acres. So, I mean, it takes you a minute to find them. And then when you find them, so I, immediately talked to the game warden, kind of got I'm going to have to call the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, just see if we can do anything about it. But it's expensive, they're out here and the more that they do it, the more, it was just last summer that I was texting one of the ranchers, let him know that I seen 2 of them up on his property. It's on the same creek.
It's one at the door.
And now all of a sudden, is he getting swatted?
No, he's got. Oh God, no! I don't. Well, maybe I don't know.
Anyway, so hopefully we're going to be able to do something about that. I don't, even if it's just hazing, something.
Yeah. We did have a question in chat, and I would like you to kind of talk it through because there are a lot of people watching right now that may not be super familiar with trapping when you have lines or sets. Can you kind of talk about what that means and what those are and how they work and what they look like?
Well, a line would be just like the UPS guy or the postal guy. It's about the same thing. I've got places where I leave in the morning, and today this is the route I'm taking. Tomorrow this is the route I'm taking. And sets would be out here. A set would either be an M44 fence snare, trail snare, or a foothold trap. And foothold traps are probably the thing that I use the least. They're more time. Everything about them is more, but there's times a year where that's the best tool because it gives you an opportunity to release something that that's a non-target that you're not going to take. And then there's times where you have really difficult animals that you need something sneaky, and traps can be pretty sneaky if you know what you're doing and where you're setting.
Yep.
So a set would be a constructed trap location, and a trap location could be any of those things. M44, jump trap, and there's a whole bunch of different types of traps, like conibears, which are kill sets. There's power rams. There's dog-proof traps. There's long spring traps. There's a lot of traps is really, when somebody says trap to you, that means a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
When somebody says snare, there's a few different types of snares, but there's a bunch of different types of traps. I mainly just use number 3, what people would call a 4-coil jump trap, and then you've got the coon cuffs or dog-proof traps, which if you're having trouble with raccoon, if you're worried about catching cats and skunks and that sort of thing, dogs, those coon cuffs they call them, or dog-proof DP traps, those are fantastic around the yard. And you don't want those coon up in your yard because when I worked for Wildlife Services, one of the tests that we were doing is for roundworms, and the eggs come out in their feces, and then that ends up in your flower bed or ends up in your in the sandbox for the kids, and then they can end up with that egg or larvae on their hands. Next thing you know, it's in their mouth. So it's not a good idea to have a tons of raccoons. Plus, they carry distemper, and if you have other pets, especially when they're populated like that, and they have a single food source, it can be really hard on domestic animals. So especially cats, geez, they can really kill a lot of cats. Not like physically attacking them, It's because of the diseases that they carry.
Oh, okay.
They're real similar. So like the diseases that affect coon also readily affect cats, domestic cats.
Sure. Hopefully, Deb. Hopefully that answered your question. It was a detailed answer, but it was a good answer. It was hopefully gave you exactly what you're looking for. Did you have a coyote at the door or a raccoon?
Yeah, my next door neighbor needed my jump box to jump his vehicle. I thought I heard someone knocking, and Pam's not home; she's away. So it's like he knows I'm home because my truck's sitting out here. So
yeah. I thought maybe you had a raccoon at the door. Now, Jamie, I know we've mostly kind of focused on the coyote aspect, but predators in general, when you're working for these ranchers, it's you're targeting mostly coyotes, but you're targeting anything that's a predator that's ruining, whether it's livestock, land, or whatever. You're still going after that, correct? You're not just solely focused on coyotes.
Yeah, so it's like coyotes and red fox predominantly, but those badgers. So I don't have a lot of stories about badgers, but because there's just no studies really done on them. But one of the old time ranchers out here was sitting on a hill, and what they do is like you'll have a band of sheep. So a band of sheep, let's say it's 300 head. They'll have one really healthy 3-year-old ewe that is painted. She'll be painted a specific color, and she'll be attached to that band. So when they're sitting up on a hill, they're not counting all the sheep; they're counting those colored sheep, right?
Sure.
So anyway, so he's up there counting sheep, and watched this badger snag this little lamb and drug his butt down a hole. And so the thing about badgers when they move into an area, let's use prairie dog towns for instance, when they move into an area, you might have 2, 3, 4 badgers living in one prairie dog town, and you don't see them much because they just auger into a hole and then murder everybody over a few day period, and then they come back out, auger down another hole. Like I've watched from the airplane, I've watched badgers hunting skunks. I've watched them hunting jackrabbits. Think about that: a badger chasing a jackrabbit.
That's crazy.
Stealth.
Well, think about what they do. They follow that jackrabbit around, pressure them like a beagle does. You don't want a beagle. You know, there's a reason why beagles are slow. Because
Right.
they just pressure that rabbit until he holes up. The badger doesn't have to chase the rabbit down. The rabbit just has to hide.
Yeah.
And then he just augers down in the hole and murders them. And the badger doesn't get credit for much.
Let me ask you a question. You said about the fox. Now, one of the things here where I live, gray fox have kind of completely disappeared because of the coyote population. The coyotes seem to love gray fox. The gray fox are mainly like home range. The red fox goes out a lot further range. The red fox I have not seen, or the gray fox. The coyotes usually chase the red foxes out of here, or they kill them. You said you got a lot of red fox where your coyote are? Because I was surprised when you said about the fox, because here they've got them almost gone.
So I think this is what I think happens. I think what happens is that coyotes will chase red fox. Coyotes will kill and eat red fox. I think the thing that they really do is they displace them from the best denning areas. And so what happens is that red fox end up moving closer and closer to main roads and farmsteads, the edge of town. So then everybody sees the darn things. And I see them up. So if you drive down a road in June and you see a dead pup red fox, that den generally is within 50 yards of that dead red fox in June.
Right.
And so they're just marginalized that's the only place they can put a den is 50 yards off the middle of the highway.
Well, it's funny because I don't see them here at all. Not dead on the roads. I mean, they're just like, I used to see gray fox all the time, and they're just gone. I mean, you don't.
But we got them out here right in with the coyotes.
See, and that's funny because, like here, they just hunt them to extinction. I mean,
Well,
they used to be a
that's a food
lot.
issue. Yeah. So I've got sheep. So if a cow gets really hungry, he just goes to eat
Yeah,
sheep. He doesn't have
yeah,
to. I don't think the red fox get to be bothered that much. I think the red fox out here probably have more difficulty with golden eagles.
yeah.
I would imagine those golden eagles can be pretty hard on
Right.
red fox den. But if I find a red fox den, not always the case, but a lot of times it's up by the stackyards. It's up by, behind the rancher's house. And then what happens is everybody knows those red fox are there, so everybody's picking on them. Everybody's
Right.
shooting them. But what happens is the local guy, the livestock guy or whoever has them on their property, they're always seeing them, so they're always shooting at them. I mean, that's what I think happens. I just like back in North Dakota. I mean, the red fox were always in somebody's right in the backyard. Well, it was because the coyotes had all the good stuff, and then if they're right in the backyard, everybody's shooting at them all the time.
When I used to hunt fox, I would go out at night and call with a red lamp.
Yeah.
And we would call and I'd shoot 3 or 4 gray fox in an hour. It is set up. You just can't do that here. I mean, you can sit there and call all night long and you ain't gonna get a fox come in.
Really? You got how's the rabbit and rodent population?
The rabbits, and I just got a thing from Kentucky Fish and Wildlife about that. The rabbits are very few and far between. That is something you do not see like we used to when I first moved here. The rabbits are like disappearing pretty bad here.
Out here too, and I don't know. So we had an explosion on them back in like 2005, 7, 9, something like that, right around that area. And then by 2010, we didn't hardly have a rabbit left. And you can drive around for a week and not see a cottontail out here in some areas where we used to, you're tripping over them. I mean, I'd see hundreds a day, every day.
Exactly.
Right? Hundreds.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they would have been doing different. I mean, I'm always thinking about the stuff they're spraying out of those airplanes. And it is what it is. I mean, the ranchers and farmers are given a pretty.
And I'm sure it has an effect because we have a farm here and I know the chemicals that are in there. And I can just imagine a rabbit sitting out in the field feeding and one of the crop dusters come over and dump a pesticide down to kill a bug.
Yeah.
And that rabbit sitting there eating the clover.
Stuff is on.
You're gonna. I guarantee it has problems on it. I know it does. It's just like the praying mantis. We used to have tons of them here. You see them everywhere. You do not see the praying mantis here hardly ever. Once in a while I do, but not like we used to.
Because we spray everything with chemicals. I mean, it's a. When I was a kid, if you owned a piece of land, my dad had pasture land next to agriculture, so like the drainages and stuff. There's just the stuff that'd be tough to grow corn in, or sugar beets was fantastic for deer and cattle. But those crop dusters would come by, and if they had any kind of drift, they would kill damn near half the pasture. It would wipe out the trees. It would wipe off everything. It would just kill everything off, and then they would have to write a check. You'd have to get the insurance agent out there and prove that you had a loss, but it would just destroy that ground for a couple of years. And then you would have problems with erosion because you weren't tilling it. So then it would kill everything off. And then in the springtime, if you were lucky to have something grow there, that's great. But if there didn't, the erosion would be so bad, pretty soon you would lose your topsoil right there. And then you have like a longer term problem.
Right.
I don't know, man. I just think we've done such a poor job of being stewards on.
I think it's getting better with the pesticides. They're starting to, I notice what we're getting is a lot better on what they're doing with it. But 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they were putting stuff down that I guarantee you, I know for a fact they were harming stuff. So, I mean, when you can spray, when we get these Asian stink bugs.
Asian lady beetles.
No, they're stink bugs. They're brown and they're about that big. They're about the size of a quarter, and they just look like the green stink bugs. But we get a lot of them here on our fields. So they'll come out and they'll completely defoliate a field of soybean. They'll get on the leaves and start eating it. And you got to spray that. If you don't, you're not going to have no beans. They're gone. So and then when we cut them fields, they all move to the towns. And your house will be covered with them damn things. Coming in the windows, the doors, every crack they can find, they come in the houses. But they spray for them every year here. And most of the time, they're flying with the plane or the helicopter to... Now, what they're using, I'm not sure what they're using on them this past year. But in past years, a few years ago, they was using some pretty heavy stuff on them, trying to kill them off. And I don't think we're ever going to catch up to them because one of them things can lay 1 million eggs.
Yeah, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle.
Right. No.
There was some crazy moth, and I can't remember the name of it, but they were doing some testing on some moth for, they had this moth they were going to drop over in some foreign country and destroy its agriculture, and then it got loose here.
Right.
So we had this moth, and I don't remember where it was at. I listened to too many podcasts, but so they get this moth that gets out there and starts killing all these plants. So then what they do, they instead of quarantine the area and having some sort of massive kill off and then compensating the farmers, instead they just got a chemical, and then they spray everything down with these chemicals and such.
One of the things I was wanting to ask you was talking about trapping. What is your best bait that you can use for your trap? Now, I know a snare's a little bit different because when I used to snare for the Game Commission, and that we would do things a lot different on our snares than we would on our regular traps. So what are you using? What is your best bait for like a number 2 jump trap or a snare? What are you using for your coyotes?
So so for a commercial lure on a dirt hole set in the fall, generally what I'm going with, without getting too nerdy, a commercial product would be something like Powder River paste bait. Okay. Or and then as it gets colder through the winter, then I'm switching over to something that's got a little bit more skunk essence in it. You know how it is when it gets cold, your scent doesn't travel so much. So I'm using something a little quieter in the fall, and quiet and loud have everything to do with the intensity of the smell. So if it's a quiet lure, it's not as obnoxious as a loud lure. And then in the wintertime, at least recently I've been using, because the consistency is really good, it's Montana paste bait. And both of those are made by O'Gorman's out of Montana. But like if I'm trapping in a pasture that has livestock in it, you can't use urine and even even like paste baits and stuff like that to an extent, because everybody wants to get into it. So if you're trying to avoid deer and other ungulates on your dirt hole set, the best thing to do is to have like a pigeon, and then I just pull the chest feathers off and kind of just broadcast them all over the place, and then chuck a dead pigeon down in a hole.
Down the hole, yeah. What are you using for your snares? Are you hanging on your snares?
Yeah, so the fence snares, I use number 11 wire off the bottom of a woven wire or a barbed wire fence to support my snare, and then I'll tie off on a fence post. And then on the trail snares, I'll use a 3/8 rebar trail snare support with a T on the bottom of it to keep it from turning in the wind. And then with that, instead of I use a number 9 annealed wire that I weld to that 3/8 rebar. And then it varies a little bit, but most of them are 2 foot of number 9. So I can get that trail snare support off of the trail, out of, kind of push it back towards a peripheral viewpoint as opposed to directly in front of them. Try to bury that in a bush or something like that. And then the only thing coming out, it's just that number 9 wire. And then I use they call it a whammy, but I love
that show.
What's that?
I love that show. Press your luck. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Stop.
Yeah, I remember that.
So you're doing your snares for holes, for trails, instead of baits. Is that what you're saying?
So my snares, fence and trail snares, generally these days are blind sets. If I'm working a new area and I don't know it all that well, for instance, I was putting, I would use a draw station. And then so my draw station would a lot of times be a horse, sometimes a cow, though I didn't have as good a luck with cows. Sheep
Right.
can work. You mainly want to get the birds working on it. So then that would be the draw. And then I'd run snares up and down a drainage away from that. You don't want them, you don't want your snares right on top of your location.
Mhm.
But so you could also use, I've used everything, but another thing you can use is like a 5-gallon pail, and you can work up some kind of concoction in there, drill small holes in the bottom. Sometimes you put small holes on the sides. Sometimes you'll put holes on the side, then you'll wrap it with filter fabric, wire that on there to slow the drip, and then have that black filter fabric on there so it would heat up during the daytime, drip at day, and then it would shut itself off at night as it cooled down. I would hang those from trees. Um, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. Even on trail snares, is flagging can be really fantastic, especially if you're trying to catch a bobcat. Like flagging for a trail snare for bobcat might be very
Right.
effective, but not so effective for coyotes. So if I had a flag in the middle of a trail that I'm trying to get a bobcat to move towards, I could put a flag in between two snares at maybe 15 yards. So you'd have 15, 20 yards, and then dead center of that, you would have a flag there. That one worked so good. I wouldn't, not to say that you couldn't catch a coyote that way, but that's not how I do it. If I was going to do it for a coyote, that flag would be off the trail. For bobcat, it would be in the center of the trail. If I had it for a coyote, I would have it off the trail so he was circling around it.
Right.
It's not to say that I do this for a living, so it's pretty easy to spend time overthinking stuff.
Oh, sure. It's the same way as fishing, overthinking your bait.
Yep.
Yep. But if you're trying to catch an effective trapper, if you're catching, it's 65 to 75% of the predators that are on your property, you're doing pretty good. But I'm in a situation where the expectation is, 105% of the predators. You're supposed to catch the ones that haven't even got there yet. So that means I'm trapping 5 miles off the outer edge of my property, trying to slow the flow, so my
Right.
last line of defense isn't the fence snare
Right.
where they're lambing at. So it's my mentality is just different. If I'm going to walk away from a set and I'm in hopes that I'm going to catch a specific coyote, I'm not trying to catch the bobcat now.
Right.
I'm not trying to catch a badger. I'm not trying to catch a skunk. I'm trying to run as small amount of gear as possible to minimize my footprint. So I am catching that particular coyote. If I go into a 2,000 acre pasture and run, I could probably run 60 sets in there, but I'm going to catch every skunk. I'm going to catch everything. The coyote, you're going to have a spot in there for coyotes on 2,000 acres. That's just going to be, there's going to be a 40-acre spot in a 2,000 acre pasture that you're going to catch the skunks that are in that 40 acres, and you're going to catch the red fox that's in there, and you're going to catch the badger that's in there, and you're going to catch those two coyotes that you're after. But the other, whatever, the other 1,960 acres, all those red fox and badgers and everything else is going to have an opportunity to live. When I first got out here, I just throw everything, all the locations. I'd put as much gear out as possible. I wasn't going to miss nothing. And eventually I didn't. And then I was having a non-target, it was a time issue more than it was I don't want to kill the skunks on the ranch. I can't be spending my day killing 20 skunks and 2 coyotes. I need to be killing 3 coyotes and 2 skunks. I can't spend my whole day just pulling. So it just. But if you got 40 acres and you're trying to have deer in there, you probably need to set on all the locations on your deer farm. But if you're short on time, you could probably find that one cream puff spot so you're not having to kill everybody.
Right. That makes sense. I keep thinking about your property, Eric, down there. And like Jamie, you moved out to Wyoming to pursue this, and this is, like you said, this is your job. And I'm wondering if you'll see, Eric, if you'll start seeing people like Jamie down in your area going after the raccoons, going after the coyotes. It sounds like there would be an opportunity for somebody.
But there's a difference between me and Jamie. Jamie has sheep herders, goat herders. They've got all them animals that these coyotes are going to mess with. Where here, all we got soybean and corn.
Yeah.
There isn't game that the farmers, believe me, if we had sheep and goats here and they were getting killed by the sheep or by the coyotes, I guarantee you they would already be here, people like Jamie.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Don't do a good job of explaining, they don't do a good job of explaining what it is they're actually able to do as far as, if you want to see more songbirds, if you want to see more upland game, if you want to, fill in the blank, if you want to see more of that, and if you have the correct fauna for it, if you have the habitat, why aren't you seeing that? You'd probably be surprised on how many. So back in the day, you were doing somebody a great favor by allowing them to come on your place for trapping because it was good extra money, but that isn't the case anymore. When you let somebody on your property, it costs. If the ranchers didn't pay me what they paid me, I'd just have to do it because I enjoy doing it. And I would probably do less of what I'm doing and more of the calling. And I'd probably be up off the sheep because it's not as hard to work. I'd go north of town and get up in the Thunder Basin area. And
see, here the farmers wouldn't even offer you a dime to come on their property.
No.
I can guarantee you that they just, they're not getting hurt by them.
Right.
And believe me, if all the deer died by coyotes, some of these farmers would be happier than hell.
Yep.
But the deer population is growing a lot bigger here, though. And they're starting to see them. When I'm starting to see feed lines along our field where there's no leaves head tall for a deer the whole way around the woods, you're starting to get overpopulated with deer. It's just a fact.
Right.
Well, I would imagine at some point there's going to be some more outfitters out there that are throwing money at those farmers where it starts to be financially, it makes sense for them to have the outfitter. Because if you get the right outfitter, you don't even know they're out there. If you get the right outfitter, you might have more animals to look at. If you get the right outfitter, he's probably going to pay a trapper to come over there and take care of that stuff. Out here, they all have trappers, and if they don't have an outfitter, they're doing it. They're selling some hunts themselves just to keep up the hustle.
The other thing that's funny here is the groundhogs. We don't have the groundhogs we used to have here, and I know for a fact that that's the coyotes. They're just
coyotes and eagles. You guys got eagles?
Yeah, we got eagles here.
Eric loves eagles.
we got eagles all over the place. And I'm not saying that they're not doing some, but I think the coyotes are also doing it. When I first moved here, there was groundhog holes around the fields quite often. Now, you just do not see, I'm lucky to see one or two groundhogs in our fields, and we got a lot of fields.
You think the ranchers are poisoning them?
No.
No?
No, they're not touching them. I'm telling you, the ranchers here are not like they are out there. A total different breed, caliber.
Dairy farms? Are they dairy ranchers?
No, corn and soybean. And then we have some that have tobacco. Very few that does sorghum. But the biggest thing here is corn and soybeans.
Do the birds bother the corn at all?
No. You'll get some crows come into them, but it doesn't. When you're planting thousands of acres of corn, these guys, I'm telling you, it's not like what you guys deal with. You'd be shocked because you'd come down and go to a farmer and say, "Hey, can I trap?" They'd probably say, "Yeah, you can trap." Well, I usually get paid to remove so many coyotes. They look at you and say, go back out there because we ain't giving you a dime. I mean, honestly, that's exactly how they would be.
Yeah, it's not hurting them.
Commercial operation. So, I mean, I get it, but it'd be like, it'd be like a food manufacturing plant. Almost all of them have pest control.
Right.
They all got somebody and so I've been up to the power plant when I worked for Wildlife Services, and they had a contract with them, and I took like 50 raccoon right around the power plant. I mean, right around the power. I've had 50 coon in 10 days I took out of there, and then we tranquilized, or we doped up some geese one time and relocated live. We or what did we do? We fed them laced corn so they would pass out, and then we loaded them all up and hauled them out of town and took them to a ranch. And so anytime I'm seeing where there should have animals and they don't have animals, it gets to be kind of an investigation about what's actually going on out there.
Right. Yeah, when I can sit in my stand this year and see 4 and 5 coyotes walking across the fields constantly, and then I got bobcat and a coyote that meet head on in the middle of a field. That was really exciting this year because I thought I was going to get to see my first bobcat coyote fight. And it was kind of funny because they met right in the middle of the field, and that coyote circled that bobcat like 3 or 4 times, and that bobcat was just like hunchered down, and I was just waiting for it. And finally that coyote left and walked away. Didn't even try to attack the bobcat.
Well, I think that bobcat one-on-one, I don't know if there's a coyote big enough to take him.
No, I think that cat would have just tore that coyote to pieces. And I think they've already had that before, and that's probably why
he walked away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard of them out, guys. I think this was in Arizona, actually, outside of Prescott. But they were all calling and heard a bunch of racket and 2 coyotes. Gosh, I'm trying to remember where this was at. I think it was Arizona, but they had two coyotes had a bobcat up a tree, and they were just like baying like dogs. It doesn't, they're not baying like dogs, but they make a lot of noise. They do all that
yipping
and yapping and stuff. Yeah. But and then they finally got bored of it and walked off.
Well, I had 2 years ago, I had a guy that was teasing me about Sasquatch. I always talk about Sasquatch. This is one of the big areas that they see all these bald Sasquatches at in this area here. They report them. So anyway, I went hunting this night after this guy was talking to me about a Sasquatch, and I'm sitting in my stand, and it's nice and quiet, a few squirrels once in a while, and I'm watching 3 or 4 deer out in the field, and I'm kind of concentrating on them deer, and it's getting close to dark, and this scream, so bloody scream happened. I mean, and it was like right behind me.
Tom Bobcat
stood up on my neck, and the first thing I think of is a Sasquatch is coming to attack me. I turn around, and Bobcat has a gray squirrel in its mouth, and I think this gray squirrel had bit that Bobcat. You know what I mean? When he grabbed when the Bobcat grabbed that squirrel. How agile a squirrel is, and he may have got bit into that, and that bobcat had squealed so loud. I'm telling you, if you never hear it, how you listen to these people go out and scream for these Sasquatches. That's exactly what it sounded like, and that's what I always laugh at when them guys are out there on these TV shows screaming.
Is that the only thing you're laughing at when they're out there doing that?
Well, the thing is, a lot of times they are hearing bobcats scream out there, and they're like, "Oh, did you hear that Bigfoot?" He's trying to contact another Bigfoot. So yeah,
I love it when they're banging on the trees.
Yeah. Or on a rock, pounding a rock.
On the rock.
Yeah, one rock to the other rock.
Did you know when Sasquatches want to get it on, they do that? Did you know that?
Is that how it happens?
Yeah, that's the sign.
Wow, I'm glad that didn't happen last year.
Now you know.
all he did was hug me. Ryan Reynolds messed that all up.
I know.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's talk big game real quick before we start running out of time. Big game season's coming up, even though it's months away, but you're prepping for it. What kind of big game season? When does antelope season even start for you guys in mule deer? When does that start?
So I'll be guiding bear hunts here in May. So that'll be the first thing that's coming up. So that'll be
When did this start?
Mid-May.
Spring bear hunt.
No, I know, so but when did you start guiding bear hunts?
This year?
No, I've been guiding fall bear hunts for probably 10, 12 years. And then, so like every fall I guide, and then the spring hunts I started doing, they've been asking me to do it for years, but I did one 3 years ago. I did a week. Then last year or the year before last, I think I did 2 weeks of bear hunts. And then this past year I think I did 3 weeks last spring. And I got a couple hunts on the book. So that's with another outfitter. So the guys that I went to visit with pheasant hunting in Kansas, Salt Plains Outfitters, that was with that group of guys. So then August will be the archery antelope starts in August. And then so then that runs to the end of August, and then the first part of September, then I run back up to the mountains. This fall I'll be guiding a couple bear hunts, and then I've got an archery elk hunt, and then I'll be coming back off the mountain, and then I'll be guiding rifle antelope hunts. Those start September 24th, and then those run through the end of October, and then mule deer starts October 1st and runs through the 14th. And then when I get done with all that, end of October, then right back to the trapping and snares.
Okay, so real quick, just so people understand, since you just had Wyoming just had all their license issued and you had to apply for them, correct? Other day?
That was just elk, the elk and moose, but mule deer and antelope draws are that doesn't happen until the deadline for that is the end of May.
Okay, so the people would have to do this before the end of May to get their license or to apply for their permit, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, I just want to make sure on that, because if they wait till July and contact you and say, hey, I want to come out this fall and hunt, is there anything they can hunt, antelope or mule?
If you had a license and you called me up,
they don't have a license. So I want to make sure.
Everything out here is limited quota, so it's all on a draw basis. Though we have a lot of, it's one of the easier states to draw tags in. So if somebody comes to me, so my website's boxcreekoutfitters.com. If somebody was to come to me and said that they want to hunt, I'd have them fill the booking form out. And then I would go to the Game and Fish website, create a profile for you. And then we would have a discussion about when you wanted to hunt. And then inevitably it comes down to points. I have one area that generally takes 0 points to draw in, but it's limited on how many people I can take in there. And then I've got a couple other areas that you can either get with points or with buying a special, which Wyoming has a special early draw license that you can purchase and get, have a real good chance of drawing a tag without a preference point. But there's lots of areas in this state for elk, mule deer, and antelope where you don't need any points, but you generally need to do a little investigating. The Game and Fish website has PDF files that you can download, and it gives you all your draw odds for every area for the state and every species. So
when in doubt, call and ask. And
a reputable outfitter,
don't call this jackass. I don't know that we've had you on since the turkey hunting debacle. It was last spring. I think I finally threw away my turkey tag, my Wyoming turkey tag, but I had booked a flight for a friend from North Carolina. We were going to go out to Jamie and we're going to do some turkey hunting. And lo and behold,
two different opening weekends.
Yes.
there's a private
Yeah.
there's a private limited quota draw, and then a week later there's a general draw, which
Yeah.
both of us became more aware of after last spring.
Yes. So I booked the flight. We bought our license, and then I realized that we could not hunt until the following week, and so it was like, there goes that idea.
Well,
We'll
you
try
missed
again.
out on some horrific weather, though.
Yes, that is true, and
I
we'll
think the second day it was 70-mile-an-hour winds on the second day.
yeah. So sometimes things
That's
happen
great for
for
fly down. You can get that turkey when he's coming 70 mile an hour down on that angle. You know, boy, oh boy, get that shotgun right in there, buddy.
shoot. The pictures that Jamie was showing me, it wasn't even going to be all that difficult. It was just, oh look, there's 300 big toms. Let's go, let's go walk down to the fence line.
Yeah, there was a couple guys that came out, and that's about what it was. But
Yeah.
it was the first 2 days. It was pretty short days. It was, and I think the third day I didn't even bother going out with him. The one guy, he's been out here 3 times. He's an archery client of mine,
Okay.
and so yeah, so I'm like, well, just go sit over by that tree over there. You'll be done in 15 minutes. But they wanted to make it more difficult than it needed to be. You know, they wanted
Yeah.
to decoys and call and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, do that, but then go sit by that tree over there, and then they'll walk to you, and you can shoot them. Well, the third day they sat by the tree, and the turkeys walked to them, and they shot them. But
Wow.
they had 2 days of trying to call them in and 70-mile-an-hour winds. But I don't know. I was astonished. Nice guys. I'm just. I I didn't grow up turkey hunting, and I was amazed on how difficult that they were trying to make it. But they got their turkeys. You
Yeah.
know,
There you go.
if they would have been, the weather was just terrible. I mean, I was pretty impressed. They were out there. I'm not exaggerating. When I say it was 70-mile-an-hour winds and they were out there trying to call on a turkey, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try a different spot. Maybe I'll come down to Kentucky and try to get one of those eastern gobblers. Who knows? I've yet to
If we
go
have any
turkey hunting.
left.
That's true. That's true. I think our turkey season starts in about a month, maybe a little less than a month. I have to pick which week I want to get out. But
I
spring
think here, I
turkeys.
think we can get 3 in the spring and 3 in the fall.
That's
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah,
But
they're
nobody
all
hunts
over the
them
place.
here.
No,
I mean, none of my friends hunt them.
no, and it was funny because Jamie, we were when we were talking about this and kind of getting this set up. He's like, "Yeah, it'll be great because I've got a lot of requests for turkey hunts, so possibility that I would offer turkey hunts, but I want to try it. So let's use this as a kind of a test experiment." Well, then
I know nothing. I don't know
yeah.
nothing about them. I see. I'm like, I said, you're gonna have to do some research because I don't know.
I did, and I did the wrong research. But after the guys that he was talking about, after they were gone, I talked to Jamie on the phone. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing turkey hunts. I'm not going to do this."
I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Yeah, and I haven't even tried to get anything lined up for this spring. So my spring bear hunts. So my long-term plan was the spring bear hunts that I'm guiding. That's going away. They're selling that camp, and I'm going to be going from a very. I mean, of all their camps, it's the most posh. I mean, it's log cabins and it's really swanky. And so, but they're getting rid of their mule deer camps and their bear camps, and they're going really heavy into elk now.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I'm supposed to be guiding one elk hunt, one archery elk hunt out of one of the new camps called Steamboat, and then 2027, no 2026, I should be full time up there, and well, for that September, for that 3 weeks of September doing
Sure.
archery elk, and then if I want, I can come back in the at the end of October into November and guide rifle elk. I could do a lot more than but it's right. My stuff falls on my property. I do about 45 to 50 hunts a year, and so it's about 5 weeks, and it's right in the middle of all the other stuff that they're doing. So
Yeah.
I'd rather be guiding my own stuff on my own properties. But
Oh, for sure.
I do miss some of that, some of the high mountain archery stuff. But it looks like I'm gonna get to do. I used to do it years ago, and then they got more into bears and more into mule deer. But anyway, I'm going to be doing more of that. And they're talking about we might have a grizzly bear season. And if we have a grizzly bear, I told that outfitter. So that's SNS Outfitters.
Okay.
And if you want to do an elk hunt, they're definitely they're the biggest outfitter in the state of Wyoming. The oldest, his outfitting license is 0001.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I mean, anyway, I've been working for them for years. But so the head of the game and fish for the state of Wyoming was Brian Nesvik, and he just got nominated by Trump to be the head of U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And
Okay.
so we all know him. We all know how he feels about feed grounds for elk, and we know how he feels about grizzly bear hunting in Wyoming. So if they open that up for grizzly bear hunting up here, which they need to do because they're we've got a substantial number of them out here to the point that they're killing and eating people every year. So anyway, I'm definitely going to be guiding grizzly bear hunts. I mean, if there is any remote chance of me guiding grizzly bear hunts in Wyoming, I definitely want to do that.
I want to be able to fit into your suitcase then.
What's that?
I want to be able to fit into your suitcase then. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I need slower people with me when I'm doing it. I told my kids, I'm like, you don't have to worry about me. I said, there's no way any of those hunters are going to outrun me. I'm telling them that when they're at camp too. I tell them at black bear too.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to worry about it. If you hunt with Todd, I mean, he'll take 2 steps and crap, and the bear will slide back 3.
That's
so
true.
You guys will always stay ahead of the bear.
It seems safe. I feel like it's a very safe. I feel like it's safe.
Yeah, I'm a safety net.
I think grizzly bears would be safer than rifle hunting elk or archery hunting elk. You know, the guides get eaten by grizzly bears out here while you're trying to call in an elk for your client.
Yeah,
going on a call. I mean, that's how they get eaten out here.
Yep, a lot of those attacks happen that way. Absolutely, it's crazy. All right, well, that was good. That was fun. But we're already over an hour and a half. Eric's probably got to pee, so he's gonna curse at me. So let's Jamie, thank you for joining us again, talking predator hunting and big game hunting. Y'all check Jamie's. I dropped the website in the chat for both you and SNS, boxcreekoutfitters.com. Go ahead.
Animal Audio, which is an app, and you can use it for Animal Audio, and I don't know if there's a link for that or whatever, but it's got thousands and thousands of sounds on there for calling in pretty much everything. There's everything on there. There's African stuff on there. There's thousands of sounds, and there's a bunch of free ones. And they work on all your e-collars, so you can just load them up on your phone or load them up on your computer or Bluetooth them over your device or load them directly onto the device. So Animal Audio, that's pretty fantastic. You know, I use I use jackals every once in a while, calling coyotes with jackal yipping and yiping because it's something different. But anyway, that's talking to you guys.
That's the site that you have some of your sounds on, right? Isn't it? You can
I've got like 20. I got 28 sounds on there, and like the most expensive sound, which is some coyote pup stuff for spring work, but $10. Most of the sounds on there are $2.50 to $5 a piece, and there's thousands of them and a bunch of free stuff. So it's worth checking out.
Don't forget, people, next Sunday, if you walleye fish and you're interested in Lake Erie for a guide service, we're going to have Ted Race on.
Yeah.
Talking about walleyes out of Lake Erie.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. We got to talk to Ted. We got to get out there with that too. But let's we have another recipe. Should we talk recipes again?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
You got a recipe? You got pictures this time?
No.
What?
No.
I told you no more recipes unless you got pictures.
Oh, then we'll wait. You can't see pictures on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, but I want to see what that looks like.
Okay. Then I'll save this recipe for next week. How about that? And I'll grab a picture from it. Okay.
We'll grab a picture.
All right. Well, then to recap, Jamie, again, thanks. And let's definitely talk. We always do, but let's talk, and maybe I can help you out again this fall, or not again, but hopefully it works out this fall. That would be great. At least come out and start apprenticeship for some
with
guiding.
your big wide open schedule.
Hey, look, I'm a busy man. All right,
I got Bill. I can put you on. We'll turn your little Twitch thing on. You can podcast right from your blind.
He's working 21 hours a day now. Leave him alone.
I have been. It's been crazy. I have to slide over once we're done here and do a little bit of work yet tonight, just so I can take a couple days off. Isn't that crazy?
You're the man.
Silly how that works. But as a reminder for everybody, check out our sponsors, Texas Select Seasonings, ! BBQ in chat. If you're in chat and you want to get to that link, or look down below in the description on YouTube or on our website, BBQ. And Cast and Camo in all caps to get 15% off your order at Texas Select Seasonings. Deer 30, ! Deer 30. Cast and Camo 24 to get 24% off your order. It is the right time of the year to start ordering all of your minerals and food plot needs from Deer 30. Vexen, ! Vexen, get 15% off your fishing order. Rods, reels, tackle boxes, lure holders, you name it, they've got it. Cast and Camo in all lowercase to get 15% off. And then ! Bees, Cast and Camo in all caps to get 10% off that order there. And then, of course, last but not least, Sea Arc boats, ! Sea Arc. Check out all of the Sea Arc boats. And they've got Twisted Cat. They've got that going in full swing right now. Those tournaments are off and running. They're doing really well. And that is 1000% sponsored by Sea Arc. And it's a kind of a cool little catfish league that they've got going on. But other than that, like Eric said, we've got Ted next week. We'll talk walleye fishing. I'm still ice fishing. I got one more in me, like we talked about, but then we're all waiting for open water, and walleye season is what everybody's waiting for. So until next week, for Cast and Camo, I'm Todd.
And I'm Eric.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.